The ending of The Platform confused almost everyone, and that confusion was completely intentional. Because this movie isn't designed to entertain you in a comfortable way, it's designed to make you uncomfortable. But once you understand what the final scene is really trying to say, the entire movie suddenly starts to make sense. The platform takes place inside a vertical prison. Food is prepared at the very top and then sent downward on a large floating platform. At first, the system seems simple. The people on the upper levels eat as much as they want, and whatever is left moves down to the levels below. But as the platform descends, the food slowly disappears, and by the time it reaches the bottom, there is often nothing left at all. Every month, the prisoners wake up on a completely different level. One month, you might be living near the top. You eat well, you feel safe, you feel in control. The next month, you wake up near the bottom. There is no food, no mercy, no security, and this forced rotation is important because it removes the illusion of fairness. It shows that survival in this system has very little to do with who you are and everything to do with where you wake up. And this is where the real meaning of the movie begins, because the platform itself is not really about food. When you think about it, it was never just about hunger. The platform represents society, a system where resources are limited, but not equally distributed. Some people have more than they need. Others are forced to survive with almost nothing. And what makes this system truly disturbing is that it doesn't force people to be cruel. It simply gives them the opportunity. When people believe they are safe, they stop thinking about consequences. They stop asking who is suffering below them. And over time, selfishness begins to feel normal. The people on the higher levels waste food because they don't feel the consequences of their actions. They don't see the suffering below them. They don't hear the desperation. To them, the system feels normal, and the people on the lower levels turn violent, not because they are monsters, but because desperation changes people. When survival is at stake, morality becomes a luxury. As the movie reaches its final act, Goreng and Bahar decide to challenge the system. Instead of fighting for their own survival, they choose cooperation. They decide to protect the platform and make sure every level receives only what it needs. No more, no less. At first, their idea seems impossible, but as they descend, something interesting happens. People begin to listen, not because they are forced to, but because the message finally makes sense. As Goreng and Baharat travel deeper, the environment becomes darker, more violent, more hopeless, until they finally reach the very bottom level. And that's when everything changes, because at the bottom, they find a young child. This moment is not accidental. It's the emotional center of the entire movie. Goreng suddenly understands the truth. The food was never meant to be the message. The child is. She isn't powerful. She isn't violent. She doesn't control the system. And that's exactly why she matters. The child represents something the system cannot corrupt. Compassion, innocence, the possibility of change. She represents hope. Not hope in a perfect future, but hope that change is still possible. She proves that innocence can survive, even inside a brutal and broken system. Instead of sending food back up, Goreng decides to send the child a living message, one that cannot be ignored. Goreng chooses to stay behind. He accepts his fate, understanding that real change always requires sacrifice. The child rises upward, toward the people in control, not as a demand, not as a threat, but as a question. And this is where the platform becomes truly powerful. Because the movie isn't giving us answers, it's asking us to reflect. Real change doesn't come from violence. It doesn't come from strict rules. It comes from empathy, from responsibility, from people choosing to care, even when there is no reward. In the end, the platform asks one simple but uncomfortable question. If you were at the top, with more than enough to survive, would you still care about the people below you? Or would you convince yourself that their suffering isn't your responsibility? That's the real meaning behind the platform. And if you enjoy thoughtful movie breakdowns like this, subscribe to 4x4 Cinema For more endings explained.